All right, welcome to round number one. We are on the draw here, and our hand is not great. Pretty slow, no mana dork, 1/2 drop. I think we can do better than this. We could get away with keeping this blind, but there's a good chance we get ran over here. I really would like to find a mana dork if I can. At least we get to ramp a little bit with this one, mana dork wise, but it is also a little weak on the other end of the spectrum. We just don't really have any gas, so I'm going to keep that Voice of Resurgence on top. Certainly on 6 though, I'm not going to 5 from here. I still get to start how I want. Hopefully we can draw a little bit of gas, and we're going to start doing that with the Noble Hierarch. Stomping Ground is probably not good for us. Ooh, okay, so we're playing against the Bushwhacker, deck. Opponent suspends exiles a Simian Spear Guide to cast it in Herbalists, and then follows up with 2 more 1-drops. So some Revolt Zoo action. This feels like a matchup that we can win, but our opponent could also just steamroll us. Our hand right now is not very well set up for it because we don't have any of our like gain life cards, but Voice of Resurgence can be very good here, and Path is going to be great as well. So I could have went Forest Azusa Plains Path, but I think I'd rather just go Voice Path. Voice getting to block twice here is really nice. Probably will want to Path the 2/3 Death Touch here and try to trade with this Ooze. Alright, opponent only ships in with that. In which case, it may be wise for me to wait to Path. Largely because my opponent's stuck on mana here. I want to keep my life total high. Obviously, tanking here tells my opponent that I likely have a Path, unless they think I'm bluffing, but the length we have been thinking is too long for that, typically. I think it's more important for us to stall than keep our life total at 14. Would rather take the 2 here and keep my opponent down on lands. They likely do not have many basics, but I assume they still have any. I will definitely play the Kitchen Finks over the Azusa here. And that's actually a great draw since we can actually trade it for this Narnum Renegade. Even only the first half, of course. And this is why I was saying I think our matchup here is reasonable. Obviously, our opponent's been missing on lands here, and I'm sure the game would be dramatically different if they had not been. But things like Voice, Kitchen Finks, they're outstanding in a matchup like this. So we have given our opponent Revolt if they have another Narnum Renegade, which I imagine they do if they are attacking. So this will evolve the Ooze and give it the ability to regenerate in the future. So I'm probably going to have to path that. I'm not sure though, we'll see. Alright, Azusa, not outstanding here. We need like at least we've run the fetch land now, so if we find like Ramunap, we can play a lot of lands at the very least. But again, my blocks this upcoming turn are not outstanding. They have a 2/3 with Death Touch that I can't block particularly well, and a 3/3 with the ability to regenerate that I can't block particularly well. And my opponent's found their land. So I still want to have a lot of blockers. My opponent can produce a lot of hasty threats with Bushwhacker pretty easily. So we need to be cautious not to put our shields down too hard in the future. Yeah, opponent just ships with everything now. So this may signify an Atarkus command, most likely. If I block like here. There's definitely no good blocks if my opponent has a Atarkus command. I guess I don't need this Azusa, so we should probably try to use that to our advantage. So maybe Azusa Voice on Hidden Herbalists and put Kitchen Finks on nothing. Hopefully they kill our Azusa, which makes the most sense for them. And then we can play our other one next turn. And I'll probably path this. I guess the issue with blocking like that is it doesn't actually force the Atarka's command, but our opponent's going to want to do something with their mana. I'm probably still going to path regardless at this point. So yeah, okay. I like this block. Yeah, unsurprisingly, opponent wants to kill Azusa. And I will path this. I think I'm going to leave my fetch land in play. I don't currently need the mana. We do have things like Courser. We have things like... what else? Tireless Tracker? I guess the way I get punished is if I draw a Ramunap. That could be a little awkward. I guess not, since I don't have the Azusa in play already. So it'd have to be like Ramunap. Yeah, I guess the issue with that is I'd have to go like Ramunap, fetch for basic now, and I'd end up getting like all of my basic forests. So if I draw Ramunap, it's like a minor irritant that I didn't fetch EOT, but if I draw Courser or Tireless Tracker, it's great for me that I waited. So I'm going to opt to wait here. All right, another Herbalists. A Burning Tree. Well, at least this is a second main thing, so we're not getting, like, Bushwhackered here. Jeez. I guess we know what our opponent has drawn for the last few turns. Those certainly would have happened on turn 1 if they had them. Devastating Summons as their last card. Okay. Well, 2 3/3s. That's going to be an issue. Fortunately for us, though, our opponent is basically telling us that we just have to beat their board. They have no cards and no lands, which we can hopefully handle. But we're going to need to draw better than Noble Hierarch. So I'm definitely blocking with Voice Resurgence this turn. We're looking to trade it. I wonder again if this block is great for me. And then something like either of these doesn't matter. I don't think it could possibly matter one way or the other. This has me taking 5, 7, 11. Geez, that's brutal. I could throw this under the bus earlier rather than later. That might be good. I guess not, because I want this voice token to be good in the future. So maybe I can't afford to make this block this turn. I need my voice to properly die here. So next turn, if I block like this, I'll have voice, noble, noble. Next turn, my opponent won't have either of these. They'll be attacking with all these. So I guess I'm not dead next turn. So maybe this is the block I want to make. So next turn I would block with voice on a Burning Tree, noble on an elemental, noble on a hidden herbalist, but then I would just end up with the voice. So that's not how we want to do it. We'd have an elemental token and no creatures at that point. So we probably want to trade this off now. And probably want to have a 4/4 next turn, so I don't want to chump yet. This has me taking 6, 8, 10, going down to 4. My opponent will have their 4 attackers next turn. I would have 4 potential blockers. Basically have to block 3 of them. And my voice elemental token will die in combat. So maybe that is worse. Or not in combat, but post-combat once all my other creatures have died, because I'm going to have to block with a bunch of stuff. So maybe this is better. Either way, I'm basically blocking with it twice and trading with one of these. I could want my Azusa next turn if I have something like Courser, though. And the other way leaves my Azusa alive. So yeah, I guess I think they're both very comparable lines. So I guess I'll take the one that leaves my Courser alive, or my Azusa alive for now. Plus, I could draw something here to make this, like a collected company here would be obviously outstanding, as it usually would be. Horizon Canopy, not quite as exciting, but we can still draw a company. Voice Resurgence, I mean, I'll take it. I'll do this rather than have to like fetch for a Temple Garden. It's possible I should have left that up, but 4 attackers should be sufficient anyway. So I'm not going to block with this, right? Well, let's see. What do our blocks look like right now? Assuming my opponent adds nothing. We block this, and then I'm only going to want one of my things to die if possible, right? So I can have this remain a 4/4. I mean, I could block differently too, so this wouldn't die, but that's not possible, right? I have to block at least 3 of my opponent's things, and none of these can survive. So if I block their 2/2 and then chump, this will still live, and then I'll get the new one, and there'll be 4/4s. So do I want to chump with the Azusa or the Hierarch? Probably the Hierarch. So I guess I'm attacking with Azusa and blocking with these 3. If my opponent has like Land Bolt, that's a disaster, but it's obviously a disaster regardless. So I'm attacking with Azusa. Yep. All right, opponent just attacks with their 2/3. So perhaps I'm opening this attack by attacking with the Azusa, and should have done this differently. But this is also probably good for me, considering that opponent's slowing down quite a bit here. I feel like chumping with the voice is still totally okay. Just have my 2 5/5s and be happy. In fact, then I can even attack with one of these. And it makes it less awkward. Yeah, actually, that's just great for me, because it makes it less likely my elemental will die in combat step 2 when the voice trigger's on the stack, basically. So yeah, I think that's good for me overall. All right, well that's not great, but do I want to attack with one of these elementals here for 7? Probably. Then maybe next turn my opponent has to actually leave this Death Toucher back. My blocks still look decent. If they swing with everything, I get to block. Elemental, yeah, I'm definitely attacking with one of these. I guess, again, if I have to chump with too many things, these things are going to shrink a bunch. But I can at least block a 2/2 and chump the 3s. And then take the 2. So only 2 things would die. These would become 3s, and my opponent would die on the crackback. So they definitely can't currently swing with everything. So they just pushed that in again. So... if I chump with a Hierarch, my elemental will still be a 6/6 when it's attacking and lethal, so my opponent will have to abyss, get abyssed basically. Alternatively, I could attack with both of these and get double abyssed. Yeah, that's better. So I really don't need this Hierarch at all. So yeah, chump. This is a strange attack. I could also just take it, but I don't need these to be larger, so I guess the issue with me attacking with them both is my opponent kills both of my elementals. They block one with an elemental. Oh, not with the knight now. So they'll be 5s. They can double block one. It will die, but the other won't die, because it'll go back down to a 4. I only have 3 damage marked on it. So yeah, we're gonna double abyss our opponent here, and they've had enough. So maybe I am supposed to just take that 2 damage so that I don't need to draw a creature to have that double abyss attack. I just don't want to get like punked out by like Land Bolt. So I like keeping my life total at 4, but maybe it's worth taking that risk there to ensure we have the ability to attack with both of those elementals next turn. Engineer Explosive seems outstanding in this matchup. I'm not sure that we want literally anything else, though. Doesn't look like it. I mean, I could bring in Pride Mage just to have another 2-drop, but I don't really care. So, especially not when I'm bringing explosives, planning on putting it on 2. So we're going to bring in these explosives and probably side out Tireless Tracker. Don't really imagine I have time for that. And then maybe shave on an Azusa. Alternatively, I could shave on some 2-drops. Probably don't have time to activate Scavenging Ooze either, and it doesn't work well with my explosives. The Ghost Quarter plan is probably really solid against my opponent. I mean, it's either one of these. Could even be like a third Ramunap, I guess. But at least this blocks better. Azusa just blocks so poorly. Yeah, I guess we'll just take out the Azusa. Whoops. I'm just probably not going to have time to abuse it. And it doesn't block like well at all, obviously. So I think this is what we're going to queue up with here. Make sure there's not something I'm missing. Yeah, don't really think I want anything else here. These creature matchups are definitely ones we want to see, although our opponent's deck is particularly explosive, of course. So there are going to be hands that they're going to have that we just flat out can't beat. But excluding their nut draws, we should be okay in this matchup. So this hand has a Horizon Canopy, which is going to be a little bit of a pain if our birds dies. We're obviously not going to want to have to pay a whole lot of life off of that one. So we're going to lead on Windswept Heath, fetch Forest, play Bird here on turn 1. Alright, never mind, we're going to play Forest. I'm going to save my fetch land since I have the Courser. Narnum Renegade certainly is annoying for us. We're looking to block with things like Courser as much as possible, and Narnum Renegade obviously reduces the ability for us to do that, so successfully at least. Lightning Bolt. Alright, well it looks like on turn 2 we're going to be casting a Path instead. Wouldn't mind an Engineered Explosives. Voice Resurgence, okay. Well, now that my opponent has played Goblin Guide, I would probably rather jam Voice than just use Path here. Gonna get a Plains, which is a little bit awkward for my Courser, but I do have this Canopy. I'd rather pay hopefully just 1 life off of this Canopy than shock off of a Temple Garden here. But I guess it's close. If we play the Canopy, it's possible we might have to use it more than twice, which would mean the Temple Garden would be just as good, or rather better. Definitely blocking here. Could easily get blown out by a Tarkas, but I don't really care. We just want to put the pressure on like that. Alright, opponent bolts the Elemental, which I think is just outstandingly good for us. That Voice just absorbed 5 damage and 2 cards from my opponent. So Noble Hierarch on top means instead of Courser or Ramunap, we could easily want to go Path Noble, which I kind of like here. Path Noble play Horizon Canopy. Although our opponent has produced a Wild Nicotl, which means Courser actually has something to block. We would have to Canopy down to 12, block that, and get forward, which is pretty good. I think either way we're in a reasonable position, but I think I'll go for the more mana efficient line with the Nicotl in play. If my opponent had not produced a Wild Nicotl and this Courser had nothing to block, I would likely just go Noble Path, since our Courser's not gaining us any life this turn anyway. This still blocks that efficiently, so we aren't really bothered by that at all. They don't even bother attacking, so we'll take the 4. We drew a bird, and there's a bird on top. So how do we want to do this here? If I go Ramunap, fetch land, I use my Canopy. But I probably want to use all my mana regardless, and again, this was the problem with the canopy here. Having played it, I'm going to have to use it a bunch, at least for 1 or 2 turns. But yeah, I'm gonna play this, and then we're either on bird or path from this Windswept Heath. Definitely fetching, of course. Ramunap not blocking particularly well here again with these Death Touchers. I think we're pathing a Renegade this turn rather than playing a bird or a Noble Hierarch. We don't have a lot to do with our mana right now anyway, so those are basically just chumps for the future. Definitely leaving our 2/4 back. So we'll pay life and gain it back. I guess if my opponent had some way to interact with my Courser here, perhaps I should have fetched on my own turn, but I like limiting my opponent's knowledge of the top of my library for as long as I can here. But they also could have drawn like a Tarkus Command there, I suppose, or Skullcracker or whatever, so it's probably not worth limiting the information. I'm probably supposed to just fetch on my own turn. I could double block this Renegade and lose both my creatures. Not super interested in that. I think we'd rather just go to... I guess I'm also giving them Revolt this way, but they have the fetch land, so that's not a concern, I suppose. It allows them to preserve their fetch land, though. So, yeah, all in all, I'm probably just supposed to path on my own turn. Alright, so we will play that. Tapped. Collected Company is outstanding. I obviously can't Horizon Canopy into it right now. I'll use the Horizon Canopy on my opponent's turn. Or excuse me, what I mean is I can't Horizon Canopy into it now and cast it. I can certainly use my Horizon Canopy now, but might as well wait. I'm just going to play the bird since I'm not attacking anyway, although I guess Noble Hierarch attack with Ramunap is probably the play. I don't know what my opponent's card is, but probably doesn't blow me out there since they didn't do anything with it. It's likely just another land. So perhaps should have attacked with the Ramunap after playing Noble, but I think I just want to chump this turn, which is my first inclination. I like keeping my life total high when I'm gaining life and have a company on top. So I think I like this line overall, but could be wrong. Plus, you never know when my opponent's going to be like something plus Bushwhacker. You know, they could have been holding a Bushwhacker in their hand and hoping to find something to surge off of. So we draw a Heath here, and then there's a Ghost Quarter on top. Probably just play the Ghost Quarter here. I mean, I guess like I have already a million lands. I guess maybe I'm supposed to company first. I'm probably supposed to company first. And then try to play a land that's on top there. If not, I have other lands to play. Yeah, there's no reason to play that land first. We definitely want to company first. This deck does kind of incentivize you to main phase companies a lot. Since there's so many things that can adjust how many lands you're playing, or how you're playing your lands, rather, or what you're getting off of playing your lands. So oftentimes you're going to want to main phase those. Courser, or excuse me, Kitchen Finks, Knight is probably the pick here. I don't know why it would be anything else. Those ones are great. And he ordered those. Noble Hierarch on top. So instead of using a land from my yard, I want this Knight to continue to grow, and I have a bunch of lands in my hand anyway. We're just going to play this fetch. I don't want to draw that, and I do want to play this. Basic Forest. I found one on top anyway. Play this. And if I attack with my Ramunap, my opponent can double block, which I actually just don't want at this point. Plus, Ramunap is actually a reasonable blocker now. Plus, I don't really need to get aggressive. I'm winning the long game, so yeah, I'm not interested in attacking here. If I really didn't want to draw this additional Noble Hierarch, I could activate my Knight in my upkeep. I don't think I desire to not draw it that badly, so we'll go ahead and draw it. See a land on top. Kind of wanted to use this Horizon Canopy. There's a question of whether or not we're using our Knight. Probably just set up to start Gavanying. Can my opponent attack me better? If I guess I just don't want to take the risk that they get to attack me better. And I don't, again, I really don't need to make my draws that exciting. We're already in a pretty good spot, and I just need to keep reproducing the same value that I'm producing every turn anyway. So my draws don't need to be all stars. I don't need to panic about that. So here we go for a Gavany. Sacking one of our basic planes, I believe. And start Gavanying our team. Alternatively, we get like a Horizon Canopy, but again, I think that's just unnecessary. Or we could just go for even more life off of our Courser and get like another, like a Ghost Quarter, so we can Ghost Quarter ourselves later if we needed to, but again, also seemingly unnecessary. Horizon Canopy on top. I mean, I don't need it. I already have a Ramunap and all that good stuff. So we're gonna fetch here. Put a Temple Garden into play tapped. Don't need that breeding pool, of course. Draw Voice, see Forest on top. So if I attack with everything, we're obviously not killing my opponent. They just block a bunch of stuff. But how much stuff do they have to block? I mean, obviously, I could just attack with the Knight here. I don't need to activate it. And probably nothing else. It'll be a 10-10. 2, 4, 6, 7. I mean, I guess they just block with this. I forgot they had another Renegade. Don't really want to trade my Knight with that Renegade. So yeah, I guess we just keep growing our team. In which case, I actually get to activate this. And because my team's already so good at blocking, I think we just get to activate it now, looking for a Horizon Canopy. And I don't play this yet because I want the top of my library. If it's a land, I want to be able to play it still. It's an Explosives. That's a good one. Let's draw that. So my opponent has 3 1s to my 2 Hierarch 1s. Can I activate? I haven't played a land, so I can activate Gavany and pop this on 1, blowing up my own Hierarchs. Killing these 3, my opponent would have just this as a blocker. They block this and take 8. Alternatively, they take 13. They don't actually die. Then they only have 1 thing. It really just doesn't matter. I think we have everything we really want here. Pretty sure I still Explosives pop on 1. I guess I just don't activate Gavany. Instead, I play Voice of Resurgence. X is 1. Pop this. Opponent scoops him up. All right, well, that's round number 1. I'll see you in the next round.